Welcome to AI for Specialists. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something really transformative. We're looking at how artificial intelligence, especially when combined with this new breed of data, is fundamentally changing investment and financial insights. Our mission, really, is to unpack how alpha, that sought-after market outperformance is now being discovered in some pretty surprising places.
Yeah, and it's more than just a trend, isn't it? I'd say it's become a strategic imperative. If you're not exploring these new frontiers, frankly, your traditional market edges are probably already eroding. It's pushing people out of that competitive advantage zone they used to rely on.
Okay, so let's anchor on alpha for a moment. We generally understand it as, well, outperforming the market on a risk-adjusted basis, right? It's basically the measure of an investment manager's skill. But what's actually happening to it right now, you mentioned erosion, is it getting harder to find? And, why?
Oh, absolutely it is. We're seeing something called alpha decay in action.
Yeah.
Those traditional ways of finding an edge, they're just eroding fast. Why? Well, markets are incredibly efficient now. Signals get crowded almost instantly, and information just spreads like wildfire. There are studies showing even a one-day delay in trading on a signal that can cost you, believe it or not, about 9.9% annually in Europe. It's significant.
Wow, nearly 10% a year just for being a day late.
Exactly. And this isn't just a temporary blip, it's a structural shift we're talking about.
Right, a structural shift. So that implies the old standbys, quarterly reports, SEC filings, that kind of traditional financial data, they're becoming almost commodities. Everyone has them, which creates this kind of information vacuum, as you put it. And presumably a pretty powerful economic incentive to look for new data sources, ones that are maybe less efficient, less picked over.
Precisely. You've got to hunt beyond the conventional stuff.
So as these traditional wells dry up, where do we turn? And I guess this is where the real game changer comes into play. Alternative data.
Yes, and what's fascinating here is just the sheer scale and the nature of this new frontier. Alternative data is basically information gathered from non-traditional sources. It's often messy, unstructured, almost real-time, often just a byproduct of our digital lives today.
Can you give some examples? What does that actually look like?
Sure. Think about credit and debit card transaction data. That gives you a near real-time pulse on consumer spending. Or analyzing social media sentiment to understand how people feel about a brand. Even satellite imagery, literally counting cars in retail parking lots to gauge traffic before earnings reports. We're even seeing insights gleaned from job postings, which can hint at a company's strategic direction.
That's amazing. And the growth you mentioned earlier sounds explosive.
It really is. The market size projections are staggering. We're talking maybe around, $11.7 billion in 2025, expected to surge to over $111 billion by 2030.
Huge, almost tenfold growth in 5 years.
It's incredible. And the really critical shift, the thing to watch, is the move towards processing highly unstructured data. Think sensor feeds, satellite images, text. That's where the future of alpha generation seems to be heading.
Okay, but that sounds incredibly complex.
Yeah.
How do you actually make sense of all these wildly different types of data coming in? Text, images, numbers.
That is the challenge. And the true frontier, I think, lies in what we call multimodal data fusion. Sometimes you hear cross-domain data synthesis. It's essentially the same idea. Basically, it's about getting AI models to integrate information from multiple disparate data types, text, images, sensor data, you name it. The goal is to uncover insights that you'd completely miss if you only looked at one data stream in isolation.
That sounds incredibly powerful, almost like, a secret weapon for insights. But how technically do you get an AI to align, say, satellite imagery with news reports? They seem fundamentally different.
Yeah, that's the core problem it solves. The critical technology here is often the transformer architecture, something many listeners might know from large language models. Specifically, it's the cross-attention mechanism within these models. Think of it as the AI learning to selectively pay attention. So if it's processing text about, say, port congestion, it learns to focus on the relevant features in a satellite image like the cluster of ships.
So it connects the dots across different formats.
Exactly. It dynamically weighs the importance of different pieces of information from different sources, building a much richer, integrated understanding. And this isn't theoretical. We're seeing real-world financial models being built on this. You might hear names like Finalava, that's a multimodal large language model specifically designed for finance, built on this kind of architecture.
Right, so it's not science fiction anymore. It's actually happening. We've seen some concrete examples, haven't we? Like you mentioned counting cars from space.
Yes. Predicting retail sales weeks before official earnings by analyzing parking lot density from satellites. Or forecasting agricultural yields by using multispectral satellite data to check crop health.
It's almost like a digital detective agency, finding clues that nobody else even knew existed.
It really is. And let's connect this back to something tangible, like supply chain disruptions. Imagine fusing real-time shipping data that's the automatic identification system or AIS data with news feeds and social media sentiment. You could, for example, correlate a sudden cluster of ships sitting outside a port with mentions of a longshoreman strike popping up online.
Okay, I see.
Firms can then create their own proprietary signals, like a predictive disruption probability score. And the key advantages are timeliness. You get this potentially weeks or months before it shows up in traditional economic data.
Right, way ahead of the curve.
And orthogonality, that's a crucial term here. It means the signal is uncorrelated with traditional market factors. It's a genuinely new source of information, a new edge, a new source of alpha where maybe none existed before.
That makes sense. Yeah. But creating these unique insights, this orthogonal alpha, that sounds like it's not easy or cheap, right? There must be pretty significant hurdles, high barriers to entry.
Oh, absolutely. The barriers are substantial. First, the cost. Acquiring these premium alternative data sets, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars annually, easily, sometimes much more. And then you need the talent. Building and maintaining the teams of data scientists, AI specialists, engineers that can run into the millions per year.
So the alpha generated is likely more defensible, harder for competitors to replicate quickly because of those costs and expertise needed.
Exactly. But it's not just cost. Data quality is a massive challenge too. Alternative data is often, well, messy. It can have gaps, biases. Think selection bias and who uses a certain app, for example. It needs meticulous cleaning and validation.
And that brings us to risks and ethics, which must be huge here.
Definitely. Beyond the cost and data quality, you have significant risks. Algorithmic bias is a major concern. We saw the controversy with the Apple Card back in 2019. Potential gender bias and credit limits these algorithms can inherit and amplify societal biases if not carefully designed and monitored. And data privacy is paramount. You have regulations like GDPR and the constant risk of encountering material non-public information, or MNPI, especially with scraped or less conventional data. Robust governance, ethical frameworks, strict compliance, these aren't optional. They're absolutely essential.
It's a complex picture then.
Yeah.
So pulling it all together, what does this mean for you listening in? It really seems the future of alpha generation lies in this synthesis, pulling insights from these chaotic, fast-moving, unstructured data streams. But as you said, it comes with a profound responsibility for how we actually manage and interpret all this powerful information.
That's the crux of it. And maybe a final thought to leave with everyone. As you navigate this world that's just awash in information, maybe consider, where do you think the next frontier of unconventional data might emerge? What surprising insights could it reveal when we pair it with the power of AI? Something to ponder.
Fascinating question indeed. Well, that's all the time we have today. Until next time on AI for Specialists. Bye-bye.